this one should be a quick one. We're just gonna go over some damage, and then we're gonna keep going. We're gonna add to this. We'll do some better hit reactions. We'll do some two-player montages. We'll do a whole bunch. But just the first thing that we'll do is we'll go ahead and go into Shooter Core, go into our weapons, and grab the kickboxing, the one that we're working on. First thing that we'll do is we'll play with the light and the heavy. We'll open that up. And then we're going to go into the base because I've edited this. And if you guys watched the last one, I technically you don't need to because I'm going to go over everything. Well, maybe because I guess you need all of these. But so this is what we're doing for the damage. So if you notice over here, so let's start off with the variables. I have these variables, I've set these off into the montage. And the reason for that is we're going to edit these in the ability, right? So not the base. These are all going to stay blank. If you look, I've got the defaults over here set to 0. I've got these, well, that one is set, but I override that in here, and I'll get to that in a second. But I guess you could just delete that, set that to 0. But all of these are going to be set to 0, and I'll go over each one of those. And then over here, I've got the trace. So I've got trace count, which is an integer. I've got a hit result, Lyra character, whole bunch of stuff. But so starting off, again, similar things as to what we did in the first one. The only thing is, I don't know if you noticed this, we're going to stop the ability or stop when ability ends. I'm going to get to that. That may change when we go further into it, but as of right now, to set up what we have right now, that's what we're doing. We're ending it right now. So off of all of these, just in case when we get into some other things, if we want to edit that. But as of right now, we're just going to pull off of all 4 of these and end the ability. So off that montage, we're going to set a delay. Now I actually have each one of these is going to have their own delays, and I'm going to get into why that is. Over here, you can also see I've got different socket names and counts going into this hit trace macro. And each one of them are set. So if you only have 2 animations, if you got 3 animations, you're going to set each one of those as their own individual one. So we've got our delays, then we're going into the hit trace. Then we'll come into the damage. Let me go into this hit trace macro. So I actually kind of copied this from I'm trying to think, the melee, the standard melee that was done. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and open up a new window so you can see these. But let me go into, I'm trying to think, was it in the game melee? So I've actually thrown the bases in here, and I don't know if I mentioned that in the last video, but they're in the same place that this gameplay melee is. So if we go into here, we're going to see that for the standard Lyra melee, is it the standard Lyra melee ability? They play this montage, and then they go over here to they do a capsule trace. I think I've recorded that. Let me see if I can roll that. And then that's what this is going to look like. So I didn't necessarily want to do it that way. That just felt big and, no offense to Epic, clumsy. I mean, I guess it works for what they were doing because they actually have this. Over here, you're going to move the pawn to hit target. So if you're off a little bit, your character actually kind of is pulled or pushed towards where they're hitting. I didn't like that. I wanted more of a gritty hand-to-hand combat feel, I guess. So I deleted all of that. I took that out. Getting back into this base, I did follow a bunch of this trace information. Now, I don't know if you can kind of tell from here, it looks like I'm running a loop. I thought about doing a for loop with a break, but I've got some different things that I've done with this. So let's take a look at that. So I've got this in count coming in, and again, that's going to be set in here. I'll get to that in a second. And then I've got the socket name. So each time we do a specific montage, we're going to be grabbing that animation, what socket we want the trace to be coming off of. And then that's going to be coming down into this trace info. Let me go into this trace info macro. And this again is very similar if you go into here, this trace logic right here. So all I did is really, I kind of copied it. I didn't copy it exactly. I took a little bit out because they have this forward vector, which is what shoots that capsule forward. And I wanted to keep it with the hand socket. So that same socket that we're using, that we're tracing all the way through. So once we grab this information, so we're going to get the Lyra character From actor info, we're going to grab the mesh. We're grabbing that socket and we're using that as our start trace and our end trace. We are then grabbing our character information and we're saving that out into an array and then as our Lyra character. So go back into the hit trace. This information we're pulling into this sphere trace. So I am running a sphere trace. I guess you could run a capsule trace if you wanted to do, I don't know, I guess like a different size for a foot or a hand. Again, if you're doing some sort of melee weapon like a knife, you could modify that. I might do that in a separate video in the future. This is more for just kind of a kung fu, kickboxing, hand-to-hand combat system, I guess. So we are going to check for a pawn. Again, a lot of this stuff was copied right from this gameplay ability melee that Epic so wonderfully provides for us. So this is the radius right here. I think theirs was something crazy, like it's the whole size of the character. Again, want it a little bit more gritty, so I've done that. I've pulled that down smaller. If we have a hit, we're going to, no, so if this is true, that's when we're going to exit, right? So we're going to grab that out hit. We're going to save all of that information. We're going to grab this Lyra character, set that, and then we're going to set our trace back to 0. Now, the reason that we're going to do that trace is if we miss, right, we're going to set a delay of 0.01. You can fine tune this however you want, but I don't know if you saw in the video, it kind of runs for a little bit. So you've got several sphere captures that we grab. And then again, I'm going to get into how we have this set up over here, but we're going to run a delay. We're going to, I forget what this is called, when you iterate up, iterate down, whatever. It's the plus plus, but you grab the count and then add 1 and set it. And then we're going to go back to here. So this is where we're checking to see if this count, and again, we're grabbing it off here. I might as well go into it now. The reason why we have that, no, I'll come back to it. If it is not above the count, we're going to go back through. If it is, right, so the whole idea is if we missed our punch, our kick, our swing through, whatever it is, we're going to clear the character. We're setting the hit out to 0, setting the trace back to 0, and then we're going to end the ability there. So once we have a hit, however, that's where we're going to go back to our event graph, and then we're going to come out here, right? So we're coming out here and we're going to go into, we're going to grab to see what we hit. We're going to grab the hit actor, check to see if it has an ability system. If it does, and I guess you could change this, you wouldn't have to if you want to take out NPCs or something like that, depending on how you set up the NPCs. But I just have it as of right now where you have to make sure that the character has an ability system. And actually in Lyra, you might have to, because I think the health is a component within there. So, but what we're doing is if it's not valid, we're going to end the ability. There's nothing worse than playing and, going to do your punch and you can't because you never ended the ability and you're stuck in this, I don't know what you would call it. Sorry, drawing a blank, but not being able to reactivate the ability because you never ended it. So, again, this logic though, look, I'll go into the melee, go into the event graph. A lot of this is the same, right? So they're grabbing the component system. They are comparing teams. I did not do that in here. I didn't think it was necessary. Also, I am going to be, this is a redundancy, right? So I think in the actual C code, before you can cause damage, and that's in one of my previous videos that you saw where we've got a variable where you can turn that on and off. So I thought this was a bit redundant. I haven't seen any issues when I've been playing with it, but you can always throw that back in there. That would just go, I think, right here. But going back into here, we're going to check to see if they are behind any occluding geometry. Now, this is actually an interesting thing that I will probably work on later because I don't have the block or parry ability done yet. We will get to that, but just right now, this is going to try and be a short video. If I shut up, I'll make it faster. But so we are, sorry, where are we? Do not include that yet, and we're just going to go right into the apply the damage. So in here, we're going to grab, what was this? Get Lyra ability system component from actor. We're going to make effect context, and then this gameplay effect. All of this you can just copy right from the regular ability. We're going to add the hit result. We are then going to apply. Now, this is the one thing that we do have to do. So on here, they have this gameplay effect damage melee, and on here, I have a gameplay effect damage melee light. In my heavy, let's go ahead and open that one up. As you can see, no, this is in the trace, in the event graph. I have over here, if I can hold on there, see, it is the heavy. So let me open these up. I'll go into this one. And what I've done is basically just go into, so it's in your plugins, shooter core content, weapons, you've got GE melee damage. I just basically copy that. And then over here, what you're going to want to change, let me show you where that is. If I can find that. Sorry, it's going to be all the way down. So gameplay effect, executions, index, calculation modifiers, index 0. Sorry, there's a lot that you have to open. And then it's this modifier magnitude. I've changed this to 15 damage on the heavy. I have this as 25. So you can play with that however you want. If you want to have it 50, if you want to have it 10, 5, whatever the case may be, that's where you're going to have your damage. So I've got the light damage, which is causing 15, and the heavy damage, which is causing 25. So we'll go ahead and close those out, but that's what you're going to be calling right here. After that, you're going to execute gameplay Q. Again, this is straight copied from their gameplay ability. The only difference is on here, what they're doing is they're running a sequence. When I ran this, there's a bit of a delay with things, and it wasn't really, the timing wasn't right. So what I've done is I've just pulled it off here. And then again, I'm calling this, but then I'm ending the ability. So, and then this is the same. So that is everything on here. Again, a lot of this is very similar. I'm just going to go through so you can see the code. Sorry about that. You can see all of that, where everything is run to. And then just one more time, let me go into the hit trace so you can see how everything is held together. Zoom out a little bit so you can see that clearly if you guys can. Give you a little bit more room to look at that. So see how everything is set up. And then let's go into the trace info so you can take a look at that as well. So that is how all of that set up. Now, the reason why I've done it over here this way is, let's go into, so this montage, this very first one. So what I've done, ignore these. I was trying to really get some sort of anim notifies, but really in order to make that work, you have to do casting. I was trying to do this without having any sort of casting. I want to try and keep everything running as quickly and as smoothly as possible. So you can pretty much ignore these. I think these were imported from whatever the animation was, wherever I got that from. I did add this in the last video, but here's why when we open up the light. So I've got this socket hand. So I notice on here, so this is the first one, right? So he's going to punch with his left hand, right? So I want that hand left socket. So that's what I have in socket number 1, is this hand left to go with the animation 1. Now I've got anim duration. Now what that is it takes him roughly, so right about when he makes that fist. So just about, what, 35? I think I have this as 35. So, and then notice he's going to take about 10 to complete that whole punch. I have this tick set to, sorry, this count set to 5. That's going to fire off every 0.01 seconds. One of the things that you do want to make sure is, if you go down here just off of wherever your stuff is, right click, you can do time format, you can do seconds or frames. So if you go to seconds, that's where you can, I mean, it does take a little fine tuning, but again, I mean, so does adding these notifies. And you can kind of see from the video if you play with these, find out where this is, and then set these in here. I mean, I don't see it as being any more difficult or any more, time consuming than setting up the notifies. And here you don't have to cast. So the final thing is this hit count again. It seemed to be running rather than 0.01 seconds. It seemed to be running at every what 0.05 or something. It was a little bit more than that. So, but I had it as just if you wanted to make it a little bit longer, so you're grabbing more sphere traces. I've got these on 5. Even on the heavy, on some of the kicks, I'm still running 5. But again, as you can see, I kind of opened up. Let's open up this one. You can see. So this one he's kicking, right? So I'm going to grab the left foot or foot left. Foot left. Can I grab by clicking on him? No, sorry. Where's the left foot? It's hand left. I know it's in here somewhere. I swear I'll find it. Maybe I should fast forward this part for you guys. Foot, thumb, arms. You know what? There we go. Okay, so, but what is it about 0.5, 0.6, maybe somewhere in there, and then goes through to about 7. So that seems about 15. But if we go back into here, I've got 0.5, and I mean, if you saw in the videos, it hit right where it was supposed to. So it might take a little fine tuning. That's why I have um, this draw debug on there. I guess why Unreal puts it in there for us. It's great. So that helps you debug. So this one, I was going to try and make it short, but I talk too much, so now this is longer. But anyways, this is just the damage so far. We're going to get into quite a bit more doing stuff with the damage, maybe some knockdowns. I want to do a revive, maybe kind of knocking a character unconscious. I might do, rather than a health bar, like a stamina bar. If that sounds interesting to you guys, let me know. But stay tuned because I've got more to come for this combat system, and I will see you guys next time.